Yay, I finally found out how to turn this intro down. I had somebody that was saying it was too loud, and every time that it would come on, she's like, "Oi!" So I finally figured out how to turn it down. I just had to take or lower the volume on my laptop speakers. You have to wait for tomorrow for your coffee drink. I want one now. I think it was you, Michelle, that mentioned. Um, what was it? I think it was like a cold coffee brew or something. Iced coffee. No, I want one. I've been wanting one since yesterday. Hey, Nancy. I don't know if I've seen the new American Horror Story or not. Hey, Kim. I can't remember. Yeah, iced coffee. Oh, where do you go to get it? I only have Tim Hortons and McDonald's that have it. So actually, I guess it doesn't matter. That's the only one. Only two places I can go. My head's pretty good. I am a lot better than what I was. My back still hurts though. Um, it's like I don't know, it's just constant agony. Like not as bad, so I shouldn't really. Well, I am. I don't care. I am gonna complain. It does hurt. So sitting up and stuff, it's like I don't know. It's like almost like a chore. It hurts. Just my back though. And now my sleeping's off. I'm having trouble sleeping. But I think that's because I slept so much when I was sick. I think I'm over. I overslept and I must have screwed up my sleep schedule. So go to Mickey D's heating pad and a hot bath. I can do that. I'll have to use my son's. He's got a heating pad. It's in a stuffed animal. It's one of those rice ones that you heat in the microwave. And Tim Hortons is good. Well, I know I've had Tim Hortons what the ice caps. I love those. And I think I'm pretty sure, yeah, I did have that. Or no, I didn't have it at McDonald's. I had that Justin Bieber iced coffee thing at Tim Hortons. It wasn't bad. I just bought a bunch of pre-rolled joints at the store down the road here, and I can't remember. I think like 6 of them, or no, 10 of them for like $20. Oh, because you're watching American Horror Story all night. I've had people message me and ask me, or say to me, "Oh, I hope you enjoyed watching American Horror Story," and I watched that too. It's such a good show. I love it. You didn't sleep until 5 and had to get up at 8. I didn't go to bed till I think it was about 3, and I was watching American Horror Story. I just couldn't sleep last night. It was really hard. But I keep forgetting I have that pot, so I should really try it. My son's not here and won't be back until Monday, so if I start laughing my ass off and eating everything in my house, I don't have to like be in front of him. We also need to discuss what we're going to read next. I have some suggestions, but hey, SD, but I'm sure you guys too. So we have to decide on it. I'm into true crime, so that's all my suggestions are going to be. I sound young. I'm 38. Yeah, 38. And I'm just tired. A munchie attack. Yeah, thanks, Kim. A munchie attack. Yeah, I remember one time ago when I was way younger and I used to smoke pot. Oh my god, the stuff we had when we were kids, it was major munchie attack. I don't know what was in it, but that's all I did was eat. Yes, I love covering true crime. I did the Gabby Petito case, and I have also I only did 2 videos on the Summer Wells case, one on her and one on her missing aunt. I'm gonna be 50 in September. 53. I'd love to do true crime. I want to look into and make videos or even maybe just do one live or a couple on the Highway of Tears in Canada. There's so many women, Indigenous women, that have gone missing. It's actually quite sad. And the police don't seem to give a shit. It's really sad. It really is. I've watched documentaries, I've watched videos, I've seen the family's pain because it's like no one cares. That's not right. I want to know what's happening. I want to know where they're going, why they're being murdered. Either they're being found murdered or missing. They're missing. It's horrible. With these, whatever's happening to them is horrible. You're not staying in the most haunted room. Oh, good. I'm glad you'd watch me, Kim. I like making my own. Make your own coffee cubes. Keep them in the freezer in a Ziploc bag. Then use the blender with water, creamer, chocolate syrup, caramel. Oh my, that sounds delicious. I have my medical card as well, but it's legal for rec and med here. I went to the shop yesterday and got the live resin. I approve. You approve? I never tried that one. I haven't even tried this pot yet because I got sick after I had got it. I never even had a chance to try it. I do love true crime and true life documentaries. Yeah, me too. You may eat the ice. That'd be good on a really hot day, is to even just eat the ice. Yeah, Michelle. No, I just love to touch on it because it's still happening and no one that I know of is really covering it, and it's really sick. Smoke the blunt. I think I will when I'm off here. Not doing it while I'm on here. No, I don't trust myself. I'll do it when I'm done. Or I won't shut up. I have a feeling I'll laugh and laugh. I don't know though. I've never tried this one. I gotta see it actually. It's called Mango Haze. I should be sitting pretty then if you haven't smoked it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. They're just little ones. They're not a full gram. I don't even know how many grams. I think I would be terrified. Just remembering like all the pot I smoked when I was younger, I would be terrified watching Murder House. Or the doll one, yeah. The first time I ever smoked pot was at age 50 and legal. I'm allergic to all pain meds. Oh, are you really? That's good. So then you don't get addicted or anything because from what I understand, they're very addicting. And that's awesome that the pot works for you. That's what I said too. Whenever I get migraines, like I eat my uncle and aunt's chocolate. It's the only thing that helps me, and it helps right away. And it's not medicine. It's not going to kill my liver and stuff like that. It's all natural. Wow, it's 26 degrees in here. I'm going to have to check out this doll thing you keep talking about, Michelle. That's piquing my interest. You're going to go for a doll as from American Horror Story? It was the most hilarious day of your life. Oh, your family's life. Oh my God. My sister says I'm cute on it. Like, how am I cute? I don't know. All right, I'll start reading this book. So we'll just have to discuss what we want to read after. I'm honestly into true crime, but I don't know. You guys may decide something else, which is absolutely up to, I guess, all of us. Hey, Brittany. Okay, so I have a mod. I don't think I need a mod, but because usually it's pretty good streams. But I do need you here, Brittany, because I'm probably going to have some questions that I need answers to. All right, I'm going to get started. You couldn't move? Yeah, that's usually what happens to me, Kim. Yeah, it's like I couldn't move. I'm so lazy, but I laugh a lot. And then I just want to eat everything. Like anything sounds good. It could be a pretzel. And pretzels are boring to me. And I would eat the whole bag. They just taste so good. Oh. All right. This is, I was still in the middle of a chapter. Okay, I'm going to read back a little bit then. All right. Suddenly, Manson was again all love. It was as if the events of the last 48 hours had never happened. Linda told Charlie that she was pregnant. Manson took Linda's hand, and as she described it, it was sort of nice, we were just talking. I gave him some peanuts, and he just sort of made me forget about everything, made me feel good. Would the jury understand this? I thought so, once they understood Manson's charismatic personality and Linda's love for him. He would eat lint. I probably would too. You need to get snacks for Saturday. Yeah, I didn't even think to invite you up. I'm such a jerk. I'm sorry. Ugh. There you go. Thank you for helping me. I'm convinced it's a miracle plant. It can help rebuild stuff in your brain. Really? I can't remember the technical terms because I'm a tad so Just as they reached the side street, a police car pulled up and 2 officers got out. They asked the pair what they were doing. Charlie replied, "We were just going for a walk." Then, as if they should recognize him, he asked, "Do you know who I am? Or don't you remember my name?" They said no, then returned to the patrol car and drove off. Without asking either for identification, it was Linda said a friendly conversation lasting only a minute. Finding the 2 officers on duty in the area that night should be fairly easy, I thought, unaware how wrong I could be. You ain't dirt? I don't know, yeah, it is weird. Who says that? Oh, you crack me up. Thank you. I needed it. I hate dirt. I'm trying to be serious with this fucking book, and I can't. Oh. All right. I know it's because we have can't avoid receptors in our brain. That much I remember. Oh, okay. You'll eat plastic food if you smoke enough. I probably would. Clem and Sadie were already back in the car when they returned. Manson then told Linda to drive to Venice. En route, he asked the 3 if they knew anyone there. None did. Manson then asked Linda, "What about the man you and Sandy met in Venice? Was he a piggy?" Linda replied, "Yes, he's an actor." Manson told her to drive to his apartment. I asked Linda about the actor. One afternoon in early August, Linda said, she and Sandy had been hitchhiking near the pier when this man picked them up. He told them he was Israeli or Arab, Linda couldn't recall which, and that he had appeared in a movie about, I think it's Khalil Gibran. The name's kind of odd, but I tried. The 2 girls were hungry, and he drove them to his apartment and fixed them both lunch. Afterwards, Sandy napped, and Linda and the man made love. Before the girls left, he gave them some food and spare clothing. Linda couldn't remember the man's name, only that it was foreign. However, she felt sure she could find the apartment house, as she had located it when Manson asked her to drive there that night. When they pulled up in front, Manson asked Linda if the man would let her in. "I think so," she replied. "What about Sadie and Clem?" Linda said. She guessed so. Manson then handed her a pocket knife and demonstrated how he wanted her to slit the actor's throat. Trigger warning. Linda said she couldn't do it. "I'm not you, Charlie," Linda told Manson. "I can't kill anybody." Manson asked her to take him to the man's apartment. Linda led Charlie up the stairs, but deliberately pointed to the wrong door. I remember that, actually. That was in the book as well. The movie as well. She actually did lie, so she saved that man's life.
Hello.
Yay, I'm glad you're here, because you know a lot more about this than I do.
Well, I can try to remember stuff.
I think you're pretty good. You know pretty much everything. I mean, every question anybody's had, you can answer them too. It's awesome.
That's true.
On returning to the car, Manson gave the trio explicit instructions. They were to go to the actor's apartment. Linda was to knock. When the man let her in, Sadie and Clem were to go in also. Once they were inside, Linda was to slit the man's throat, and Clem was to shoot him. When finished, they were to hitchhike back to the ranch. Linda saw Manson and Clem had a gun, but was unable to describe it, nor did she know if Sadie also had a knife. If anything goes wrong, Manson told them, just hang it up, don't do it. He then slid into the driver's seat and drove off. Like the church and sports car incidents, Susan Atkins had not mentioned the Venice incident to me, nor had she said anything about it when testifying before the grand jury. While I felt that she might have forgotten the two earlier incidents, I suspected the third was omitted intentionally, since it directly involved her as a willing partner in still another attempted murder. If it was possible, however, that had I had more time to interview Susan, this too might have come out. My sister ate cardboard cracker. What? My sister tried to eat a cardboard cracker box once. I tried to take it away, but she nipped at me. What? I'm sorry, Brittany, what were you going to say?
I was going to read the same thing. I was like, what?
Oh my god. The actor's apartment was on top or the fifth floor, but Linda did not tell Clem or Sadie this. Instead, on reaching the fourth floor, she knocked on the first door she saw. Eventually, a man sleepily asked, "Who is it?" She replied, "Linda." When the man opened the door crack, Linda said, "Oh, excuse me, I have the wrong apartment." The door was open only a second or two, and Linda caught just a glimpse of the man. She had the impression, though she was unsure of this, that he was middle-aged. The three then left the building, but not before Sadie, ever the animal, defecated on the landing. Oh, who does that?
Yeah, I watched a documentary once.
Yeah.
With being telling the night of the 10th into the 11th, and basically it was Charlie and the ones that didn't go to the La Bianca house. They went to Venice just to find somebody to kill there.
Wow.
And then, like, when Linda, she got the apartment number wrong, otherwise she was protecting the other person.
Yeah.
Basically, Susan, she left her mark when they were leaving.
Yeah, she took a dump right on the landing. Like, that's just gross. What is the point of that? Just because they're gross? I mean, yeah, like, he called her an animal. But not poor Sadie. Ever the animal. Defecated on the landing. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. I'm laughing because Steve's like, she was really stoned. She got into her mom's stash. Oh, that's funny. It was obvious that Linda Kasabian had prevented still another Manson-ordered murder. As independent evidence corroborating her story, it was important that we locate not only the actor, but the man who answered the door. Perhaps he'd remember being awakened at 4 or 5 a.m. by a pretty young girl. From the apartment house, Clem, Sadie, and Linda walked to the beach a short distance away. Clem wanted to ditch the gun. He disappeared from sight behind a sand pile near a fence. Linda presumed that he had either buried the gun or tossed it over the fence. Walking back to the Pacific Coast Highway, they hitched a ride to the entrance of Topanga Canyon. There was a hippie crash pad nearby, next door to the Malibu feed bin, and she knew a girl who was staying there. Sadie said she had known a girl who was staying there. Linda recalled there was also an older man there, and a big dog. The three stayed about an hour, smoking some weed, then left. They then hitched 2 rides, the last taking them all the way to the entrance of Santa Susana Pass Road, where Clem and Linda got out. Sadie and Linda learned the next day, remained in the car until it reached the waterfall area. When Linda and Clem arrived at the ranch, Tex and Leslie were already there, asleep in one of the rooms. She didn't see Katie, though she learned the next day that, like Sadie, she had gone on to the camp by the waterfall. Linda went to bed in the saloon. 2 days later, Linda Kasabian fled Spawn Ranch. The manner of her departure, however, would cause the prosecution a great deal of concern. Rather than taking Linda directly to the La Bianca's residence, I had the sheriff's deputy drive to the Los Feliz area to see if Linda could find the house itself. She did, pointing out both the La Bianca and True houses, the place where they had parked, the driveway which Manson had walked, and so on. I also wanted to find the 2 houses in Pasadena where Manson had stopped earlier that night, but though we spent hours looking for them, we were at this time unsuccessful. Linda did find the apartment house where the actor had lived, 1101 Oceanfront Walk, and pointed out both his apartment, 501, and the door on which she had knocked, 403. Asked Patchett and Gutierrez to locate the interview both the actor and the man who had been living in 403. Linda also showed us a sand pile near the fence where she believed Clem had disposed of the gun, but though we got out shovels and dug up the area, we weren't able to locate the weapon. It was possible that someone had already found it, or that Clem or one of the family members had reclaimed it later. We never did learn the type of gun it was. Having been out since early in the morning, we stopped at a Chinese restaurant for lunch. That afternoon, we returned to Pasadena and must have driven past 40 churches before Linda found the one where Manson had stopped. I asked LAPD to photograph it and the adjoining parking lot as a trial exhibit. Linda also identified the standard station in Silmer where she'd left the wallet, as well as Denny's restaurant next door. Despite all our security precautions, we were spotted. The next day, the Herald Examiner reported, in addition to winning immunity, Mrs. Kasabian was given a bonus in the form of a Chinese dinner at Madame Wu's Garden restaurant in Santa Monica. Restaurant employees confirmed Mrs. Kasabian, defense attorney Fleshman, and prosecutor Bugliosi ate there Sunday. The paper neglected to mention that our party included a half a dozen LAPD officers and 2 LASO deputies. My son gave me his clothing, not folded, and put it in the luggage. He said I felt quite better than him. I was watching Joy of Clothes. Oh, wow. We took Linda out twice more, trying to find the 2 houses in Pasadena. On both occasions, we were accompanied by South Pasadena PD officers who directed us to neighborhoods similar to those Linda had described. We finally found the large house atop the hill. Though I had it and the adjoining house was photographed, they were close together, as Manson had said. I decided against talking to the owners, sure they would sleep better not knowing how close to death they had come. We were never able to locate the first house, which both Susan and Linda had described, where Manson looked in the window and saw the photographs of the children. We did grant Linda one special privilege, which might have been called a bonus. On the 3 occasions we took her at a Sybil Brand, we let her call her mother in New Hampshire and talk to her 2 children. Her attorney paid for the calls. Though Angel was only a month old and much too young to understand, just speaking to them obviously meant a great deal to Linda. Yet she never asked to do this. She never asked for anything. She told me not once but several times that although she was pleased to be getting immunity, because it meant that eventually she could be with her children, it didn't matter that much if she didn't get it. There was a sort of sad fatalism about her. She said she knew she had to tell the truth about what had happened, and that she had known she would be the one to tell the story ever since the murders occurred. Unlike the other defendants, she seemed burdened with guilt. Though, again, unlike them, she hadn't physically harmed anyone. She was a strange girl, marked by her time with Manson, yet not molded by him in the same way the others were. Because she was compliant, easily led, Manson apparently had little trouble controlling her, up to a point. But she had refused to cross that point. I'm not you, Charlie. I can't kill anybody. Once I asked her what she thought about Manson now, she was still in love with him, Linda said. Some things he said were true, she observed thoughtfully. Only now I realized he could take a truth and make a lie of it. Shortly after the story broke that Linda Kasabian would testify for the prosecution, Al Women, the reporter with the Channel 7 crew, which had found the clothing, shut up in my office. If Kasabian was cooperating with us, then she must have indicated where she threw the knives, Winman surmised. He begged me to pinpoint the area. His station, he promised, would supply a search crew, metal detectors, and everything. Look, Al, I told him, you guys have already found the clothing. How is it going to look at the trial if you find the knives too? Tell you what, I'm trying to get someone out. If they won't go, then I'll tell you. After Women left, I called McGann. 2 weeks had passed since I'd asked him to look for the knives. He still hadn't done it. My patience at the end, I called Lieutenant Helder and told him about Women's offer. Think how the LAPD is going to look if it comes out during the trial that 10-year-old boy found the gun and the Channel 7 found both the clothing and the knives. Bob had a crew out the next day. No luck. But at least during the trial, we'd been prepared to prove that they had looked. Otherwise, the defense could contend that LAPD was so skeptical of Linda Kasabian's story that they hadn't even bothered to amount search. That they'd failed to find the knives with disappointment, but not too much of a surprise. Over 7 months had passed since the night Linda tossed the knives out of the car. According to her testimony, one had bounced back onto the road, while the other had landed in the bushes nearby. The street, though in the country, was much traveled. It was quite possible they had been picked up by a motorist or passing cyclist. I had no idea how often the police had interviewed Winifred Chapman, the Polanski's maid. I talked to her a number of times myself before I realized what was one question so obvious we'd all overlooked it. Mrs. Chapman had stated that she washed the front door of the Tate residence just after noon on Friday, August 8th. This meant Charles Watson had to have left his print there sometime after this. However, there was a second print found at the Tate residence. Patricia Krenwinkel was located inside the door that led from Sharon Tate's bedroom to the pool. I asked Mrs. Chapman, "Did you ever wash that door?" "Yes." "How often?" "A couple of times a week." She had to, she explained, because the guests usually use that door to get to the pool. The big question, did you wash it the week of the murder, and if so, when? Tuesday was the last time I washed it down inside and out with vinegar and water. Under discovery, I was only required to make a note of the conversation and put it in our tubs. However, in fairness to both Fitzgerald and his client, I called Paul and told him, "If you're planning on having Krenwinkel testify that she went swimming at the Tate residence a couple of weeks before the murders and left her print at that time, better forget it. Miss Chapman is going to testify she washed that door on Tuesday, August 5th. Paul was grateful for the information. Had he based his defense on the premise that Mrs. Chapman's testimony could have been devastating. There was, in such conversations, something assumed though unstated. Whatever his public posture, I was sure that Fitzgerald knew that his client was guilty, and he knew that I knew that. Though only on rare occasion does a defense attorney slip up and admit this in court, when it comes to in-chambers discussions and private conversations, it's often something else. There were 2 items of evidence in our files which I did not point out to the defense. I was sure they had already seen them. Both were among the items photocopied for them, but I was hoping they would realize their importance. One was a traffic ticket, the other an arrest report. Separately, each seemed unimportant. Together, they made a bomb that would demolish Manson's alibi defense. On first learning from Fowles that Manson might claim that he was not in Los Angeles area at the time of the murders, I had asked LaBianca detectives, Patchett and Gutierrez, to see if they could obtain evidence proving his actual whereabouts on the subject dates. They did an excellent job. Together with information obtained from credit card transactions and interviews, they were able to piece together a timetable of Manson's activities during the week preceding the start of Helter Skelter. On about August 1st, 1969, Manson told several family members that he was going to Big Sur to seek out new recruits. He apparently left on the Sunday morning, August 3rd, at sometime between 7 and 8. He purchased gas at a station on Canoga Park using a stolen credit card. From the park, he headed north toward Big Sur at about 4 the next morning. He picked up a young girl, Stephanie Scram, outside a service station, some distance both of Big Sur, probably at Gorda. An attractive 17-year-old Stephanie was hitchhiking from San Francisco to San Diego, where she was living with her married sister. Manson and Stephanie camped in a nearby canyon that night, probably Salmon or Lime Kiln Creek, both hippie hangouts. Manson telling her his views on life, love, and death. Manson talked a lot about death, Stephanie would recall, and it frightened her. They took LSD, had sex. Manson was apparently unusually smitten with Stephanie. Usually he'd have sex with a new girl a few times, then move on to a new young love. Not so with Stephanie. He later told Paul Watkins that Stephanie, who was a German extraction, was a result of 2,000 years of perfect breeding. On August 4th, Manson was still using the stolen credit card, purchased gas at Lucia, ripping off the place, which bore a large sign reading, "Hippies not allowed." Must have given him a special satisfaction, as he did it again the next day. On the night of the 5th, Manson and Stephanie drove north to a place whose name Stephanie couldn't recall, but which Manson described as a sensitive camp. It was, he told her, a place where rich people went on weekends to play at being enlightened. He was obviously describing the Institute. East Salem was, at the time, just coming into vogue as a growth center. Its seminars including such diverse figures as yogis and psychiatrists and Satanists. Obviously, Manson felt East Salem a prime place to expose his philosophies. It is unknown whether he had been there on prior occasions, those involved in the Institute refusing to even acknowledge his visits there. At 3:07 p.m., July 30th, 1969, someone at the Tate residence called the Institute, Big Sur, California. The telephone number was 408, blah, 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 blah. It was a brief station call. Total charged 95 cents. It is unknown who placed the call or since the number is that of the switchboard who was called. Since the call occurred just 6 days before Charles Manson's visit to East Salem, it arouses a certain amount of speculation. A few things are known, however. None of the tape victims was at Big Sur during the period Manson was there. Abigail Folger had attended seminars at the Institute in the past, and several of her San Francisco friends visited there periodically. It is possible that she was simply trying to locate someone, but this is just a guess. Though both the call and Manson's visit to East Salem remain mysterious, I should perhaps note that, with a single exception, the Hatimi Tate Mansion confrontation on March 23rd, 1969, I was unable to find a prior link of any kind between any of the Tate LaBianca victims and their killers. Manson took his guitar and left Stephanie in the van. After a time, she fell asleep. When she awakened the next morning, Manson had already returned. He was in less than a good mood, as later that day he unexpectedly struck her. Still later, at Barber Ranch, Manson would tell Paul Watkins, to quote Watkins, that while at Big Sur, he had gone to East Salem and played his guitar for a bunch of people who were supposed to be the top people there, and they rejected his music. Some people pretended that they were asleep, and others people were saying, "This is too heavy for me, and I'm not ready for that." And others were saying, "Well, I don't understand it," and some just got up and walked out. Still another rejection by what Manson considered the establishment, this occurring just 3 days before the Tate murders. With a single recruit, Manson left Big Sur on August 6th, making gas purchases the same day at San Luis Obispo and Chatsworth, a few miles from Spawn Ranch. According to Stephanie, they had dinner at the ranch that night, and she met the family for the first time. She felt uncomfortable with them, and learning that Manson shared his favors with the other girls, told him she would stay only if he would promise to remain with her and her alone for 2 weeks. Surprisingly, Manson agreed. They spent that night in the van, parked not far from the ranch, then drove to San Diego the next day to pick up Stephanie's clothes. En route, about 10 miles south of Oceanside on Interstate 5, they were stopped by California Highway Patrol Officer Richard C. Willis. Though pulled over for a mechanical violation, Manson was cited only for having no valid driver's license in his possession. Manson gave his correct name and the ranch address and signed the ticket himself. Officer Willis noted on the ticket that Manson was driving a 1952 cream-colored Ford Bakery van. The date was Thursday, August 7, 1969. The time was 6:15 p.m. The ticket which Patchett and Gutierrez found proved Manson was in Southern California the day before the Tate murders. While Stephanie was getting her clothes together, Manson talked to her sister, who was also a Beatles fan. She had the White Album, and Manson told her the Beatles had laid out the whole scene in it. He warned her that the blacks were getting ready to overthrow the whites, and that only those who fled to the desert and hid in the bottomless pit would be safe. As for those who remained in the cities, Manson said, people are going to be slaughtered. They'll be lying on their lawns dead. Just a little over 24 hours later, his prediction would be fulfilled in all its gory detail at 10050 Cielo Drive, with a little help from his friends. That night, according to Stephanie, she and Charlie parked somewhere in San Diego and slept next to the van, returning to Spawn Ranch the following day, arriving there about 2 p.m. Stephanie was a bit vague when it came to dates. She thought the day they returned to Spawn Ranch was Friday, August 8th, but she wasn't sure. I anticipated that the defense would make the most of this, but I wasn't concerned because that second piece of evidence conclusively placed Manson back at the ranch on Friday, August 8th, 1969. According to Linda Kasabian, on the afternoon of August 8th, Manson gave Mary Brunner and Sandra Good a credit card and told them to purchase some items for him. At 4 that afternoon, the 2 girls were apprehended while driving away from a Sears store in San Fernando after store employees checked and found the credit card was stolen. The San Fernando PD arrest report stated that they were driving a van 1952 Ford. Because of the fine job of digging by the LaBianca detectives, we now had physical proof that Manson was back at Spawn Ranch on Friday, August 8th, 1969. Though both the traffic ticket and arrest report were in the discovery materials, so were hundreds of other documents. I was hoping that the defense would overlook their common denominator, that vehicle description with its telltale license number. If Manson went with an alibi defense and I proved the alibi was fabricated, this would be strong circumstantial evidence of his guilt. There was, of course, other evidence placing Manson at Spawn Ranch that day. In addition to the testimony of Scram, DiCarlo, and others, Linda Kasabian said that when the family got together that afternoon, Manson discussed his visit to Big Sur, saying that people there were really not together. They were just off in their little trips, and that the people wouldn't go on his trip. It was just after this that Manson told them, now is the time for Helter Skelter. Bits and pieces, often largely circumstantial, yet patiently dug out and assembled, they became the people's case, and with almost every interview, it became a little stronger. I spent many hours interviewing Stephanie Scram, who, together with Kitty, had fled Barker Ranch just hours before the October 1969 raid. Shotgun-wielding Clem in close pursuit. I often wondered what would have happened to those two girls had the raid been timed just a day later or Clem been a little faster. Unlike Kitty, Stephanie had severed all contact with the family. Though we had kept her current address from the defense, Squeaky and Gypsy found her working at a dog grooming school. Charlie wants you to come back, they told her. Stephanie replied, no thanks. Considering what she knew, her forthright refusal was a brave act. From Stephanie, I learned that Manson had conducted a murder school. He had given a buck knife to each of the girls and had demonstrated how they should, trigger warning, how they should slit the throats of pigs by yanking the head back by the hair and drawing the knife from ear to ear, using Stephanie as a very frightened model. He also said they should stab them in either their ears or their eyes and then wiggle the knife around to get as many vital organs as possible. The details became even gorier. Manson said that if the police pigs came to the desert, they should kill them, cut them in little pieces, boil the heads, then put the skulls and the uniforms on post to frighten off others. Much later, I discovered that LASO deputies George Palmer and William Gleason had obtained much of the same information from Stephanie Scram on December 3rd, 1969, but LASO had not informed LAPD of this. Stephanie had told LAPD that Manson had spent the nights of Friday, August 8th and Saturday, August 9th with her. On questioning her, I learned that about an hour after dinner on August 8th, Manson took her to the trailer at Spawn and told her to go to sleep, that he would join her soon. However, she didn't see him again until shortly before dawn the next morning, at which time he wakened her and took her with him to the Devil's Canyon, the camp across the road from the ranch. That night, August 9th, Stephanie said, when it got dark, he left and he came back either sometime during the night or early in the morning. If Manson was planning on using Stephanie Scram as an alternative alibi, we were now more than ready for him. On March 19th, Hollow Peter, Manson's court-appointed attorney, made two motions, that Charles Manson be given a psychiatric examination and that his case be severed from that of the others. Enraged, Manson tried to fire him. Asked whom he wished to represent him, Manson replied, myself. When Judge Keene denied the change, Manson picked up a copy of the Constitution and, saying it meant nothing to the court, tossed it in a wastebasket. Manson eventually requested that Ronald Hughes be substituted for Hollow Peter. Like Reiner and Shin, Hughes had been one of the first attorneys to call on Manson. He had remained on the periphery of the case ever since, his chief function being to run errands for Manson, as indicated by a document Manson had signed on February 17th, designating him one of his legal runners. Keene granted the substitution. Hello Peter, whom the press called one of LA County's most successful defense attorneys, was out after 13 days. Hughes, who had never before tried a case, was in. Something of an intellectual, Hughes was a huge, balding man with a long, scraggly beard. His various items of apparel really matched and usually evidenced numerous food stains. As one reporter remarked, you could usually tell that what Ron had for breakfast. For the past several weeks, Hughes, whom I would get to know well in the months ahead, and for whom I developed a growing respect, once admitted to me that he had bought his suits for $1 a piece at MGM. They were from the Walter Slezak's old wardrobe. The press was quick to dub him Manson's hippie lawyer. Hughes' first two acts were to withdraw the motions for his psychiatric examinations and the severance granted. His third and fourth were requests that Manson be allowed to revert to pro per status and to deliver a speech to the court. That was denied. Although Manson was displeased with Keene's last two rulings, he couldn't have been too unhappy with the defense team, which now consisted of four attorneys, Reiner for Van Houten, Shin for Atkins, Fitzgerald for Krenwinkel, and Hughes for Manson, each of whom had been associated with him since early in the case. Unknown to us, there were still charges ahead. Among the casualties would be both Ira Reiner and Ronald Hughes, each of whom dared to go against Manson's wishes. Reiner would lose considerable time and money for having linked himself with the Manson defense. His loss would be small, however, compared to that of Hughes, who, just 8 months later, would pay with his life. On March 21st, Aaron and I were walking down the corridor in the Hall of Justice when we spotted Irving Kanarek emerging from the elevator. Although little known elsewhere, Kanarek was something of a legend in the Los Angeles courts. The attorney's obstructionist tactics had caused a number of judges to openly censor him from the bench. Kanarek stories were so common and usually incredible as to seem fictional when they were actually fact. Prosecutor Burton Katz, for example, recalled that Kanarek once objected to a prosecution witness stating his own name because, having first heard his name from his mother, it was hearsay. Such frivolous objections were minor irritations compared with Kanarek's dictatory tactics as samples. In the case People versus Goodman, Kanarek had stretched a simple theft case, which should have taken a few hours or a day at most, to 3 months. The amount stolen was $100. The cost to the taxpayers was $130,000. In the people in the case of People versus Smith and Powell, Kanarek spent 12 and a half months on pretrial motions. After an additional 2 months trying to pick a jury, Kanarek's own client fired him in disgust. A year and a half after Irving Kanarek came into the case, the jury still hadn't been selected, nor a single witness called. In the case of People versus Bronson, Superior Court Judge Raymond Roberts told Kanarek, I'm doing my best to see that Mr. Bronson gets a fair trial in spite of you. I have never seen such obviously stupid, ill-advised questions of a witness. Are you paid by the word or by the hour that you can consume the court's time? You are the most obstructionist man I have ever met. Outside the presence of the jury, Judge Roberts defined Kanarek's modus operandi as follows. You take interminable lengths of time in cross-examining on the most minute, unimportant details. You ramble back and forth with no chronology of events to just totally confuse everybody in the courtroom, to the utter frustration of the jury, the witnesses, and the judge. After examining the transcript, the appellate court found the judge's remarks were not prejudicial, but were substantiated by the court record, the trial record. We all need, Vince, Aaron remarked to me, is to have Irving on this case. We'd be in court 10 years. The next day, Ronald Hughes told a reporter that he may ask Van Noy's attorney I.A. Kanarek to enter the case as Manson's lawyer. He mentioned that he and Manson conferred with Kanarek and the county jail Monday night. Though no miracle was involved, the Black Panther whom Charles Manson had shot and killed in July 1969 had resurrected. Only he wasn't a Panther, just a former dope dealer, and contrary to what Manson and the family had believed after Manson shot him, he hadn't died, though his friends had told Manson that he had. His name was Bernard Crowe, but he was best known by the descriptive nickname Lots of Papa. Our long search for Crowe ended when an old acquaintance of mine, Ed Thomas, who was Crowe's attorney, called me. He told me he had learned we were looking for his client and arranged for me to interview Crowe. After Manson and TJ had left the Hollywood apartment where the shooting took place, Crowe, who had been playing dead, told his friends to call an ambulance. They did, then split. When questioned by the police at the hospital, Crowe said he didn't know who had shot him or why. He nearly didn't make it. He was on the critical list for 18 days. The bullet was still lodged into his spine. All right, you enjoy your dinner, Michelle. I was interested in Crowe for two reasons. One, the incident proved that Charles Manson was quite capable of killing someone on his own. Though I knew I couldn't get this into evidence during the guilt phase of the trial, I was hopeful of introducing it during the penalty phase, when other crimes can be considered. Two, from the description it appeared that the gun Manson had shot Crowe with was the same .22 caliber Longhorn revolver which, just a little over a month later, Tex Watson would use in the Tate homicides. If we could remove the bullet from Crowe's body and match it up with the bullets test fired from the .22 caliber revolver, we'd have placed the Tate murder weapon in Manson's own hand. Sergeant Bill Lee of SID wasn't optimistic about the bullet. He told me that since it had been embedded in the body for over 9 months, it was likely that the acids had obliterated the stria to an extent where a positive identification would be difficult. Still, it might be possible. I then talked to several surgeons. They could take out the bullet, they told me, but the operation was risky. I laid it out for Crowe. We'd like to have the bullet and would arrange to have it removed at Los Angeles County Hospital, but there were serious risks involved and I didn't minimize them. Crowe declined the operation. He was sort of proud of the bullet, he said. It made quite a conversation piece. Eventually, Manson would have learned through discovery of the resurrection of Bernard Crowe. Before this, however, Crowe was jailed on a marijuana charge. As he was being escorted down the hall, he passed Manson and his guard, who were on their way back from the attorney room. Charlie did a quick about-face, then told Crowe, according to the deputies who were present, "Sorry I had to do it, but you know how it is." Crowe's response, if there was one, was not reported. Toward the end of March, the prosecution nearly lost one of its key witnesses, Paul Watkins, once Manson's chief lieutenant, was pulled out of a flaming Volkswagen camper and rushed to Los Angeles County General Hospital with second-degree burns on 25% of his face, arms, and back. When sufficiently recovered to talk to the police, Watkins told them he had fallen asleep while reading by candlelight, and either that or a marijuana cigarette he had been smoking could have caused the fire. These were only guesses, Watkins told them, as he was unsure of the origin of the blaze. 3 days before the fire, Inyo County authorities had heard a rumor that Watkins was going to be killed by the family. As far back as November 1969, I'd asked LAPD to infiltrate the family. I not only wanted to know what they were planning as far as defense strategy was concerned, I told the officers. It would be tragic if there was another murder which we could have prevented. I made this request at least 10 times, LAPD finally contending that if they did plant an undercover agent in the family, he would have to commit crimes, for example, smoke pot. For there to be a crime, I noted, there had to be criminal intent. If he was doing as part of his job to catch a criminal, it wouldn't be a crime. When they balked at this, I said he didn't even have to be a police officer. If they had paid informers in narcotics, bookmaking, even prostitution cases, surely they could manage to come up with one in one of the biggest murder cases of our time. No dice. Finally, I turned to the DA's Bureau of Investigation, and they found a young man willing to accept this assignment. I admired his determination, but he was clean-cut with short hair and looked as straight as they come. As desperate as we were for information, I couldn't send him into the den of killers. Once they stopped laughing, they'd chop him to pieces. Eventually, I had to abandon the idea. We remained in the dark as to what the family was planning to do next. That was a really long chapter. I'm just finishing it from like 2 weeks ago. Holy. So now I'm on a new one. All right, I'll keep reading for a little bit. April 1970. The words pig, death to pigs, rise, and helter skelter contain only 13 different letters. Handwriting experts told me it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to match the bloody words found at the Tate and LaBianca residence with printing exemplars obtained from the defendants. It was only the small number of letters involved. The words were printed, not written. The letters were oversized. In both cases, unusual writing implements had been used. A towel at the Tate residence, probably a rolled-up piece of paper at the LaBiancas, and all but the 2 words found on the refrigerator door at the latter residence had been printed high up on the walls, the person responsible having to stretch unnaturally high to make them. As evidence, they appeared worthless. However, thinking about the problem, I came up with an idea which, if successful, could convert them into very meaningful evidence. It was a gamble, but if it worked, it would be worth it. We knew who had printed the words. Susan Atkins had tested before the grand jury that she had printed the word pig on the front door of the Tate house. Well, Susan had told me, when I interviewed her, that Patricia Krenwinkel had admitted printing the words at LaBianca's. Though Susan's grand jury testimony and her statements to me were inadmissible because of the deal we had made with her, she had confessed the printing at Tate to Ronnie Howard, so we had her on that, but we had nothing admissible on Krenwinkel. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution provides that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that this is limited to verbal utterances and that a defendant cannot refuse to give physical evidence of himself, like appearing in a lineup, submitting to a breath analysis test for drinking and driving, giving fingerprint and handwriting exemplars, hair samples, and so on. After researching the law, I drew up very explicit instructions for Captain Carpenter at Civil Brand, stating exactly how to request the printing exemplars of Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten. Each was to be informed. 1, you have no constitutional right to refuse. 2, you have no constitutional right to have your attorney present. 3, your constitutional right to remain silent does not include the right to withhold printing exemplars. And 4, if you submit to this process, this can be used as evidence by the prosecution in your case. Captain Carpenter signed Senior Deputy H.L. Moss to obtain the exemplars. According to my instructions, she informed Susan Atkins of the above, then told her. The word pig was printed in blood at the Tate residence. We want you to print the word pig, Susan. Without complaint, printed the exemplar as she was requested. Leslie Van Houten and Patricia Krenwinkel were brought in individually and given similar instructions concerning their rights. However, each was told orally. The words helter skelter, death to pigs, and rise were printed in blood at the LaBianca residence. We want you to print those words. In my memo to Captain Carpenter, there was one additional instruction for the deputy. Do not write any of this for them. I wanted to see if Krenwinkel was spelled helter as Helter, as she had on the refrigerator door. Leslie Van Houten printed the exemplar. Patricia Krenwinkel refused. We'd won the gamble. We could now use her refusal in the trial as a circumstantial evidence of her guilt. As evidence, this was doubly important since, before this, I had absolutely no independent evidence corroborating Linda Kasabian's testimony regarding Patricia Carmichael's involvement in the LaBianca murders. And without corroborating evidence as a matter of law, Carmichael would have been entitled to an acquittal on those charges. Though we'd won that gamble, Carmichael herself could just as easily have emerged the winner. Leslie could have refused to take an exemplar also, which would have diluted the force of Katie's refusal. Or Katie could have made the exemplar the handwriting experts and failing to match her printing with that found at the LaBiancas. We were less lucky when it came to putting the Tate Sebring rope and the wire cutters in Manson's possession before the murders. Evidence I was counting on to provide the necessary corroboration of Linda Kasabian's testimony as to Manson. We knew from DiCarlo, who had been present, that Manson had purchased about 200 feet of the white three-strand nylon rope at the Jack Frost surplus store in Santa Monica in June '69. However, when Tate detectives finally interviewed Frost 3.5 months after my initial request, he was unable to find a purchase order for the rope, nor could he definitely state that this was the same rope that he had stocked. Frost recalled stocking some three-strand white nylon rope, but he believed it was a half-inch thick. The Tate Sebring rope was 5/8 inch thick, which it was possible that Frost had been mistaken or the rope had been mislabeled. The defense could argue that it simply wasn't the same rope. An attempt to identify the manufacturer, then trace it back to Frost, also failed. Frost usually picked up his stock in odd lots from jobbers or through auctions rather than directly from the manufacturer. Just as these were blind alleys, so was one other, literally. According to DiCarlo, Manson had given part of the rope to George Spahn for use on the ranch. Spahn's near blindness, however, eliminated him as a witness. It was when I thought of Ruby Pearl. For some reason, though the police had visited Spahn Ranch numerous times, none of the officers had interviewed Ruby, George's ranch manager. I found her a fund of valuable information. Examining the Tate Sebring rope, she not only said it looked like the rope Manson had, she also supplied the numerous examples of Manson's domination, recalled seeing the 22 Longhorn at the ranch many times, identified the leather thong found at the LaBiancas as similar to the ones Manson often wore, and told me that prior to the arrival of the family at Spahn, she had never seen any buck knives there, but that in the summer of '69, suddenly it seemed everyone had one. While disappointed that we couldn't obtain documented proof of the rope sale, I was pleased with Ruby. Being an experienced horse wrangler as well as tough, gallant lady who showed not the slightest fear of the family. When Manson was brought to Los Angeles from Independence, Ruby Pearl visited him at the jail. I only came here for one reason, Charlie, she told him. I want to know where Shorty was buried. Manson, unwilling to meet her gaze, looked down at the floor and remarked, Ask the Black Panthers. Charlie, you know the Black Panthers have never been up to the ranch, she responded, turning her back on him and walking out. Her testimony would carry weight. There was a fine streak of stubborn authority about her. Another find was Randy Starr, whom I interviewed the same day as Ruby. A sometime movie stuntman who specialized in fake hangings, Starr was the Tate Sebring rope was identical to a rope I'd once used to help Manson pull a vehicle out of the creek bed, Starr told me. Manson always kept the rope behind the seat in his dune buggy. Even more important was Randy Starr's positive identification of the 22 Longhorn revolver, for Starr had once owned the gun and had given it to Manson. The gun, serial number 1902708, had been among a number of weapons taken from the archery headquarters in El Monte, California, during a burglary on the night of March 12, 1969. According to Starr, he obtained it in a trade with a man only known as Ron. Manson was always borrowing the gun for target practice, and Randy finally gave it to him in trade for a truck that had belonged to Danny DiCarlo. One question remained unanswered. Why on the night of the Tate murders did the killers bring along 43 feet, 8 inches of rope to tie up the victims? Manson accomplished this the next night with a single leather thong. I obtained a glimpse of a possible answer during one of my minor interviews with DiCarlo. According to Danny, in late July of '69, Manson had told him that the establishment pigs ought to have their throats cut and be hung up by their feet. This would really show the fear into people, Manson said. The logical inference I felt was that the killers brought along the rope intending to hang their victims. It was only a guess, but I suspected it was correct. The wire cutters presented their own problems. Linda Kasabian said the pair found in Manson's dune buggy looked like the pair that had been in the car that night. Fine. Joe Granado of SID used them to test cut a section of the Tate telephone wire and concluded that the two cuts were the same. Great. But then Officer Dwayne Wolfer, considered LAPD's foremost expert on physical evidence, made some test cuts also, and he concluded that the wire cutters couldn't have been the ones used. Oh, hi Mel. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. You don't have to you don't have to mod or anything. You go lay down and get some rest. Brittany's here. She can help me, but I doubt we'll need anything. No, I'll get some rest, girl. Shit. Not about to give up, I asked Wolfer if the tautness of the wire could have been a factor. Possibly, he said. I then asked Wolfer to accompany telephone company representatives to 10050 Cielo Drive and make another cut. Only this time I wanted him to sever the wire while it was strung up and tight, the way it was the night of the murders. Wolfer eventually made the test, but his opinion remained unchanged. The actual cut made on the night of the murders and the test cut did not match. While it was possible that the cutting edge of the wire cutters could have been damaged subsequent to the Tate murders, Wolfer's test literally severed this important link between Manson and the Tate evidence. Hey, Artsy. Yeah, get some rest. Honestly, I was sick for like 2 weeks. It's not fun feeling like crap and feeling sick. You don't have to worry about this. Don't worry. Get some rest. When I accompanied LAPD to the Spawn Ranch on November 19, 1969, we found a number of .22 caliber bullets and shell casings. Because of the terrific windstorm and the necessity of following up other leads, our search had been cursory, however, and I'd asked Sergeant Lee to return and conduct a more thorough search. The much-repeated request became even more important when, on December 16, 1969, LAPD obtained the .22 caliber long-arm revolver. Yet it was not until April 15, 1970, that Lee returned to Spawn. Again concentrating on the Gully area, some 200 feet behind George Spawn's residence, Lee found 23 more .22 caliber shell casings. Since 22 had been found during the first search, this brought the total to 45. None of the .22 caliber bullets recovered during the two searches matched up with the bullets found at the murder scene or those test fired from the weapon. It was not only after the latter search that Lee ran comparison tests on any of the Spawn shell casings. When he finally did, he concluded that 15 of the 45 had been fired from the Tate murder gun. Lee determined this by comparing the rim marks on the Spawn shell casings with 1, the rim marks on the shell casings found in the cylinder of the weapon, 2, the rim marks of shell casings test fired from the gun, and 3, the firing pin of the gun. Belatedly, but fortunately, in time for the trial, we now had scientific evidence linking the gun to Spawn Ranch. Only one thing would have made me happier, if Lee had returned and found the rest of the shell casings before the gun was discovered. As the defense could contend that during the 4.5 months between the two searches, the police and/or prosecution had planted this evidence. Oh, okay. For months, one item of physical evidence has especially worried me: the pair of eyeglasses found near the trunks in the living room at the Tate murder scene. The natural conclusion was that if they didn't belong to any of the victims, they must belong to one of the killers. Yet neither Watson, Atkins, Krenwinkel, nor Kasabian wore glasses. I anticipated that the defense would lean heavily on this, arguing that since they didn't belong to any of the defendants, at least one of the killers was still at large. From there, it was only a short step to the conclusion that maybe the wrong people were on trial. This posed an extremely serious problem for the prosecution. That problem, though not the mystery itself, vanished when I talked to Roseanne Walker. Since Susan Atkins had confessed to the murders to both Virginia Graham and Ronnie Howard, it occurred to me that she might have made incriminating statements to others. So I asked LAPD to locate any girls Atkins had been particularly close to at Civil Brand. One former inmate who agreed to talk to me, though she wasn't very happy about it, was Roseanne Walker, a pathetic, heavy-set black girl who had been Civil Brand. Hello.
Hello.
I'm just going to read for a little bit and then I'll stop. My throat's getting sore. Okay. Shit, where was I? One former inmate who agreed to talk to me, though she wasn't very happy about it, was Roseanne Walker, a pathetic, heavy-set black girl who had been sent to Civil Brand on 5 drug-related charges. Roseanne had been a sort of walking commissary, selling candy, cigarettes, and make up to the other inmates. Not until the 5th or 6th time I interviewed her did Roseanne recall a conversation which, though it seemed unimportant to her, I found very significant. Susan and Roseanne were listening to the radio one day when the newscaster began talking about a pair of eyeglasses LAPD had found at the Tate murder scene. Amused, Susan remarked, "Wouldn't it be too much if they arrested the person the glasses belonged to, when the only thing he was guilty of was losing his glasses?" Roseanne replied that maybe the glasses did belong to the killer. Susan said that ain't the way it went down. Susan's remark clearly indicated that the glasses did not belong to the killers. Other problems remained. One of the biggest concerned One of the biggest concerned Linda Kasabian's escape from Spawn Ranch. Lynn told me that she had decided to flee after the night of the La Bianca murders. However, Manson sent her to the waterfall area later that day, August 11th, and she was afraid to leave that night because of the armed guards he had posted. Early the next morning, August 12th, Manson sought her out. She was to put on a straight dress, then take a message to Mary Brenner and Sandra Good at Sybil Brand, as well as Bobby Buswelli at the county jail. Buswelli. Yeah, at the county jail. The message saying nothing, everything's all right, after borrowing a car from Dave Hannum, a new ranch hand at Spawn. Linda went to Sybil Brand, but learned that Brenner and Good were in court. At the county jail, her identification was rejected, and she wasn't allowed to see Beausoleil. When they returned to the ranch and told Manson she had been unsuccessful, he told her to try again the next day. Linda saw her chance. That night, she packed a shoulder bag with some clothing and Tanya's diapers and pins and hid it in the parachute room. Early the next morning, August 13th, she again borrowed Hammond's car. On going to get the bag, however, she found Manson and Stephanie Scram sleeping in the room. Deciding to forget the bag, she went to get Tanya, but discovered that the children had been moved to the waterfall area. There was no way she could go there to get Tanya, she said, without having to explain her actions, so she left the ranch without her. Instead of going to Los Angeles as instructed, Linda began driving to Tahoe, New Mexico, where her husband was now living. Hannum's car broke down outside Albuquerque. When she tried to have it repaired using a credit card Bruce Davis had earlier given her for gas, the gas station owner checked and learned that the card was no longer valid. Linda then wrote a letter to Hannum, enclosing the keys telling him where he could find the car and apologizing. She then hitchhiked the rest of the way. Susan Atkins apparently intercepted that letter, as she gave Hannum the information and keys but didn't show him the rest of the letter. Understandably unhappy, Hannum took a bus to Albuquerque to reclaim the vehicle. Linda found her husband living with another girl in a commune at Lorraine outside Tahoe. She told him about the Tate murders, the events of the second night, and leaving Tanya at Spawn. Bob Kasabian suggested they return to Spawn together and get Tanya, but Linda was afraid Manson would kill them all. Kasabian said he wanted to think about it for a few days. Unwilling to wait, Linda hitchhiked into Tahoe and went to see Joe Sage. Sage, who had a reputation for helping people, was a rather colorful character. When the 51-year-old Zen monk wasn't busy running his macrobiotic church, he was campaigning for President of the United States on an anti-pollution ticket. Linda asked Sage for enough money to return to Los Angeles to get her little girl. Sage, however, began questioning Linda, and eventually she told him and a youth named Jeffrey Jacobs about the murders. Not believing Linda's tale, Sage placed a call to Spawn Ranch, taking first to an unidentified girl, then to Manson himself. Sage asked Manson, whose reaction can only be imagined, if Linda's story was true. Amanda told him Linda had flipped out, that her ego was not ready to die, and so she had run away. Linda did not talk to Charlie, but she did talk to one of the other girls she believed, but was not sure. It was Squeaky who told her about the August 16th raid. The authorities had kept Tanya, she learned. She was now in a foster home. Linda also spoke to Patricia Kremwinkle. Katie saying something to the effect, "You just couldn't wait to open your big mouth, could you?" Linda subsequently called the Malibu police station and learned the name of the social worker who was handling Tanya's case. On calling the social worker, Linda learned that another girl, posing as Tanya's mother, had attempted to reclaim Tanya in a short time before. Though I couldn't prove it, I suspected that Manson had sent one of the girls to get Tanya as insurance that Linda wouldn't talk. Sage gave Linda enough money for a round-trip airfare, as well as the name of a Los Angeles attorney, Gary Fleshman, who he felt might be able to help her reclaim Tanya. When Linda saw Fleshman, she did not tell him about the murders, only that she had left the ranch to look for her husband. Eventually, after a court hearing, the mother and daughter were reunited and flew back to Tahoe. Bob was still involved with the other girl, however, and Linda took Tanya and hitchhiked first to Miami, Florida, where her father was living, then to her mother's home in Concord, New Hampshire. It was here on December 2nd, 1969, when the news broke that she was being sought in connection with the Tate murders, that Linda turned herself into the local police. Waiving extradition, she was returned to Los Angeles the next day. I asked Linda, why, between the time you reclaimed Tanya and the date of your arrest in December, didn't you contact the police and tell them what you knew about the murders? She was afraid of Manson, Linda said, afraid that he might find and kill both her and Tanya. Also, she was pregnant and didn't want to go through this ordeal until after the baby was born. There were, of course, other reasons, the most important being her distrust of the police. In the drug-oriented world she inhabited, police were considered neither friends nor allies. I felt that this explanation, if properly argued, would satisfy the jury. An even bigger question remained. How could you leave your daughter in that den of killers? I was concerned not only with the jury's reaction to this, but also with the use to which the defense could put it. That Linda had left Tanya with Manson and the others at Spawn Ranch could be circumstantial evidence that she'd not really believed them to be killers, clearly contradicting the main thrust of her testimony. Therefore, both the question and her answer became extremely important. Linda replied that she felt Tanya would be safe there, just so long as she did not go to the police. Something within me told me that Tanya would be all right, Linda said, that nothing would happen to her, and that now was the time to leave. I knew I would come back and get her. I was just confident that she would be all right. Would the jury accept this? I don't know. This was among my many concerns as the trial date drew closer. Okay, I will pick up the rest next week. That's what I actually said too. When Linda left her daughter there, I couldn't believe it. I would never be able to do that. Never.
I would never do it either. I would just go and get her and lie and get my ass out of there.
That's what I would have done. I would have kept it lie. Like, I know, okay, so the children were moved to the waterfall. Okay, fine. Go visit with your child. Go visit with your daughter. I don't know, think of something, anything. Tell them you're going to bring her to go visit family or something. It's her daughter. I don't know. Make up anything. That's what I would have done and just took that. I couldn't leave without my daughter. No way. No, not that crazy family. Holy. That's an insane book. We're almost done it. I'm just over halfway. I'm glad that I got to read it though. Or I am reading this. It's an interesting book. Have you read it, Brittany? I can't remember.
No, not yet.
No. I got mine from Amazon. It was like $10. And then I know that if you sign up to Audible, you get like a free month and you can get that book. Hey, Teresa. Do you guys have any questions or anything? I'll try and answer to the best of my ability. Brittany is a good resource, so I'm definitely glad you're here, Brittany. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did you, actually, I got questions for you. How did you, I don't know, like come across like this case? Like, why are you so interested? What sparked your interest?
At first, it was my friend. She was doing a psychology paper on it in college. Then we both was researching stuff up for it.
Okay.
This is right around the time when Susan Atkins died.
When was that?
2009.
2009. Oh, okay. So you just kind of, so you had were researching stuff for your friend and then just kind of got hooked on it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then last year, I started my own research.
Oh, wow.
Especially, like, it just, like, popped onto my feed.
Oh, did it? Oh, that's
neat.
Was it just like a crime channel or?
It wasn't like exactly like a crime channel. It was the fact that I was like watching Grim Life Collective. They were up there.
Oh, I watched that too.
Yeah. I was watching them. They were up there at the Omen house getting information from the guy, and then they also went up towards where now the fence is.
Yeah.
The gate is. The only thing is that they can't go in now. It's like blocked off.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that because I have watched them before. They're married, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're really cool. Actually, I like their take on a lot of things. Like it is spooky stuff, especially when they're watching movies and stuff like that. I love it. I think it's I'd love to do that, but I don't think it's boring, and I like watching them. I don't know. I was always thinking,
Then I started watching Scott Michaels, and he
what?
does that dearly beloved, or well, used to. And he got like some stuff from the old house before when they were demolishing it back in the 1990s.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, like some of the rocks from the fireplace.
That's pretty neat.
Then Jordan the Lion, he went up there too at the Omen house, and then he like filmed some stuff too.
I'm gonna have to watch. So they okay. I'm gonna have to watch that. It sounds interesting because I really do enjoy their content. I just think they're really neat, and she can pull off green hair.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's Jessica for you.
yeah, she can totally pull off that green hair look. No, I like them. I like the way they dress. I like the tattoos. I don't know. I think they're really interesting people. I'm gonna have to check them out. Not check them out, but watch that episode. Oh, I'm getting stuffy.
Yeah, but you would have to go back like a couple years, about about a year or so,
Oh,
because
okay.
that's when they moved out to Hollywood.
Ah,
I mean, they also have like other stuff like
yeah.
the Viper Room and stuff where River Phoenix died.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I'm done reading. I've been reading for like an hour. So no, Nancy, no, it's not starting over. I'm just having Brittany up here to help me if you guys got any questions. I love true crime. I'm like already thinking about what I'm going to do next. Actually, there's I can't remember who it was. I remember I remember one person who sent me something was like, I want you to look into this. So I was going to do that. There was another one. Now I forget that there's not enough, like there's not a lot of attention on. So I'm going to have to, actually I haven't checked them out yet. I got sick, so I haven't looked into any of it, but I'm going to start probably tomorrow.
Oh, there's another one that I watched too. Her name is Allie. She does like a timeline. Right now, she's on to the downhill spiral of the Manson family with the murders.
Oh, really? What's
Yeah,
her name?
she
Allie?
just did the Lots of Papa.
Oh, did she? Yeah, I
Yeah,
just heard of that lots of Papa now. That's crazy how he's alive. He survived that gunshot wound. It's a good thing he faked that he was
yeah,
there because Manson probably would have went at him again. So who's this person? Her name is Allie?
yeah.
Okay, I'll check that one out too. I mean, I don't know, like some of these channels I don't know, but that's because they don't pop up in my newsfeed or anything like that. But the ones I do know, I really enjoy. Yeah, it's just an interesting case. It's disgusting, but it interests me, but not in like that way, the bad way, as you could say. I don't know. I've always had an interest in the paranormal and crime, true crime.
Yeah, like Dave Ullman, he had the Ghost Adventures up there with Zach Bragan.
Oh,
Just
Zach, yeah. I don't really
yeah, and
care for him.
they were doing EPA basically trying to see if there was ghosts in the house,
Yeah.
whether if it was Sharon, Jay, and them.
There was I can't remember where I seen it actually, and I don't know if it was Ghost Adventures or not, or if it was Zach, I don't know, but the house that's on top, the house that they built on top of that land now, they were doing EVP sessions, and you can actually hear Sharon's voice. I can't remember who the hell.
What I found strange is they kept the, like, when they were done building and landscaping, they kept the tree where Abigail Folger was laying at.
Really? So
Yeah,
gone,
it's
but
in the front yard.
Oh my god. Maybe they just wanted to keep something, I don't know, to commemorate. I don't know. I don't even know why they keep it. I mean, it's a tree.
Yeah, the mansion there now was owned by Jeff Franklin from the Full House stuff.
Yeah. Who owns it now? Do you know?
I do not know.
No, I don't know.
Last time I heard it was up for sale.
I should look into that and see who owns the house now.
But, like, if you go, like, here's the thing, Cielo Drive is a private drive, the one part of it where you go up towards the big mansion.
Oh, okay.
You can't really go up to it, but
well, is it fenced?
You can go towards the opposite way onto Bella Drive where Valentino used to live before he died.
Oh, okay.
And there's like a lookout point there.
So it makes it. Was it like that when Sharon lived there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. Because it was all gated. Well, it was closed off with that fence or whatever. And it was like you had to live there in order to go there. Like there's no reason no one visiting. No, it's really neat finding out more and more information about this case. And people, it's so fascinating. Like people are still interested in talking about it today. I think it's almost like I'm more interested in finishing this book, and then I want to go to the paranormal side of it and see who's researched it, who's, you know what I mean? Like when I heard Sharon's voice, it just blew my mind.
I mean, I did watch like part of her stuff, like her interviews and stuff. She has a soft-spoken voice.
Yeah, like you'll hear her and then you hear this EVP and it's like, holy shit, is that really her? It could be, you know what I mean? You never know. Whenever something bad like that happens and your life is cut short, especially what happened to Sharon. I mean, I could see her.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, I could see her being around there and staying there because she would be distraught, devastated. And I mean, I'm not a ghost, so I don't know, but I feel like when bad things happen, it's like puts like an imprint on the house, on the land, on whatever, and it just stays there. Sorrow is all I can think of, you know. Do any of you guys have any questions at all? I'll try and answer. I got to figure out which book to do next. I have a few ideas, and people have said things that they want me to cover, like the Black Dahlia. That would be interesting because her murder is still unsolved.
Yeah, it is.
Like I
even
really,
after 70 plus years.
Yeah, I'd like to figure that one out. Wow, what was the other one? The West Memphis 3. Someone brought that up to me too. That was horrible, that case. I can't remember the movie, but Reese Witherspoon was in it and she was the mother of one of the boys. And I watched it. It said something devil. And I ended up watching it, and it was about the West Memphis. It was about the 3 boys that went missing and then were found murdered, and that the stepfather had actually done it. It was right on cue. Like it was a horrible movie. It was really sad. Under the Trestle. It's about a local girl who was unalived by the maintenance man at the local haunted sanatorium. Ooh, that's both murder and paranormal. That interests me. Under the Trestle. It's local to you? Ooh, might have to get you up here and peg your brain if we do that one. Peg your brain. Pick your brain. Michelle wanted me to do the England ones, like Haunted Britain and stuff like that. I have a few books on it, and they're very interesting. Probably the saddest one that I read was The Castle. I think it was King Henry, one of them. Um,
Well, we know the eighth killed all of his wives, except for
yes.
Catherine Parr, and
then the other one killed his nephews and buried them in the wall. The place is haunted. It's St. Albans in Radford. Okay.
yeah, except for Catherine Parr and Anna Cleves.
I'd like to check out that too. Even yeah, I thought it sounds like a good book.
But they do say, like, one of the castles that Henry lived in, they do say that, like, I think it was Catherine Howard, she would run down the hallway going towards where Henry would have mass at,
Yeah.
screaming his name.
Oh my god, that would be terrifying. Wow. I just
On
remember.
the day she got arrested for committing adultery.
Yeah. I can't remember the other one I was thinking of doing too. It was the West Memphis 3, Black Dahlia. Oh, and I also wanted to either get the books or like and read both because I don't know, there's so many similarities between them, by H. Holmes and Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy too. It was
Mm-hmm.
mostly prostitutes. Excuse
Yeah.
me. You won't
Yeah.
get it monetized.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many similarities. I have the book on Jack the Ripper, the big one, like the one with all the information. I got that one, and the only one I don't have is one on H. Holmes. I'd love to read both and point out the similarities and try and figure it out. I swear they're the same person. I've always thought that. You've seen them? Oh shit. You've seen them. There's a lot there. There's a non-human entity, and it's definitely not friendly. Oh my god. That sounds like. This actually sounds like the next book I would love to read, because then I can have, if you felt comfortable, SD, I could have you up on panel and we could do it together. I always love doing things with people who have more knowledge than I do and they can help me out. I'd love to hear about it and read about it. All right, I should go. If nobody's got any questions, I'm going to get off here and go watch American Horror Story again.
I'm gonna watch I'm gonna watch PLL.
What's that?
Original Sin. Pretty Little Liars Original Sin.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
a spin-off to the original series.
Would you, SD, would you want to do that with me if we pick that one for the next book? Would you want to do it with me? Like we can, like I'll read it and stuff like I'm doing right now, and then you'd be a big help because you live right there. Oh my god, you can take pictures and stuff. Maybe you'll get a ghost picture. Oh, wish I could go there with you. And with you being sensitive, yeah, I can see you seeing a lot of things there. You can't watch Teresa. I can't watch scary movies.
Oh, so you're sensitive. She's sensitive like I am. I'm sensitive
so
to the drum spirits.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm too. I have been my whole life. It's scary sometimes. I'll have to give you.
Especially when you know dead relatives in the room, you know they're in the room because the smell.
Yeah, or you. Yeah. I woke up.
Like with my grandmother, when I know when she's around, I can smell cigarettes and coffee.
I always smell my grandma's perfume. It's like weird. My grandfather's always in my dreams, so I see him all the time. All the time. We were really close, so I'm glad. It feels just like being with him all the time. It's like, well, I don't know, we do lots of things in my dreams. I'm not a D. I'm glad I'm not. What? You're not a D? Be like a dick? No, you're not a dick. If that's what you mean. I'll have to give you my information, SD. I don't know if you've got Twitter, if you've got Instagram, but here's my information to get in touch with me. If you want to do that, I think it would be awesome. That is my Instagram, and the Twitter one is. Now's the time you want to talk to you. Well, there's my information. The first one is my Instagram. The second is Twitter. I have email too if you want to get in touch with me. I don't know. I think that would be really neat. I think it makes it more interesting. It makes it more fun having someone up on panel and who's especially you being there. That would be amazing. I'm supposed to say, oh, you're not. I'm not sensitive to spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to call them, and I'm glad I'm not. Is what I meant. Okay. I thought you were calling yourself a dick. I'm like, you're far from it. I may be interested. We already have some pics from there. I'll find. Oh, that'd be amazing. You should send me them. And then, with your permission, I'd love to show them. Like, if we go through, like, if you, yeah, I hope you are interested. I'd love to do this with you. It'd be great.
I mean, like, I live in Pennsylvania. It's like ghost story central in this state, especially with
Really?
especially with the Civil War in Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would be absolutely.
And then the city that I live in, our local theater's haunted too.
Oh, that is so neat. I don't know. I've just always been love stuff like that. Oh, I have, even though I know this isn't a KJ video, but I have to say I'm very happy to announce that her views are down on YouTube. Usually her dog group videos get like 170 plus, like 170,000 plus views. They're down to like 17,000. That's it. Not 170, 17. She's lost a lot of her views. A lot of her subscribers just don't watch anymore. So they're down. I couldn't believe it. I was like, finally something's done. And she can't go live on IG. And she's not liked on Twitter and knows that, so she can't do Twitter lives. So I feel like,
Yeah, that's why she went to Facebook, because you can go on live there.
that's why I'm like, great. Once Facebook catch up, she's screwed. She won't have IG. She won't go on Twitter. She knows there's no way in hell.
Not to come here,
Yeah,
because there's like 3 strikes you're out.
yeah, exactly. And she honestly, like, she's losing big time, big time. Like, she's got no panels left. IG's gone. YouTube, I guess that's not getting any views on there at all. Right now, it's just her Facebook is her main thing. But I mean, that's not going to be forever either, because I'm sorry, but she's a piece of shit. And she's never going to make it. She's lost all these platforms. Yeah, she's spiraling. Absolutely. 100% spiraling. And people are calling her out. Yeah, people haven't stopped calling her. I don't even know how she's got anybody watching her on Facebook right now. Every
Yeah,
live
with
she's
it on
watching.
Facebook, they're really strict
Yes.
about their rules.
And Facebook owns
Every time, like, if somebody posts something bad, they end up getting Facebook jail for 24 hours.
Yeah, I heard she was already reported and she had to go to Facebook jail. I don't know how true it is, but somebody told me that. And they were like, I'm serious. I was like, okay.
I only got a warning.
Yeah, maybe it was a warning. Yeah. I'd love to see them, SD, definitely. She can turn off comments when she's lying. No, she can't. You're right. She cannot turn it off, and she blocks everyone. She'll have no one. Exactly. I was watching, and it was funny because she cannot turn certain comments off, and I love it for her because what I don't understand is, how do you feel like you're a journalist or a reporter or a blogger or whatever the hell you think you are, KJ? If you're going to sit there and go on a live, you're not professional. Clearly, you drink on them. You look like a boy in the hat. We know you're drinking. And mouth everyone and constantly put your face up to the screen and block everyone. How is that professionalism? It's just not. That's not a reporter. Oh my God. I'm glad this is happening. Very glad, because it's overdue, way overdue. It should have been done years ago, where she doesn't have any platform. I like Todd can go back and get his job from what I remember them saying, or no, he was fired. Never mind. I'm sure he can get another one. It's not her. You know what I mean? They don't need to have, I don't know, two Bentleys. Like, she doesn't understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, and she keeps getting away with everything. It's just not right. And she's not learning. She'll never learn and she won't stop until she's made to stop. And that's what's going to happen. I totally believe it. And I'm so here for it. The demise of Katie Joy. Got some good ones from the old bowling alley in the basement. Oh, I can't wait to see them. That'd be amazing. Well, message me, SD, if you feel comfortable. If you have Twitter or Instagram, we can just talk. I don't know. I don't either. She won't get away with it. I don't think there's no way. No, there's not one inkling in my mind thinking that she's going to get away with it. Too many people are aware of her bullshit on Twitter and on IG and now on YouTube. Like, thanks to Molly, she's helped bringing this out. Well, I was watching Charlotte today, and she was playing a video by Molly, and Molly's like, "What is your problem, KJ? The family doesn't want nothing to do with you. Stop talking about them. Like, butt out." Like, she won't stop. And I remember, like, Molly's like, "I don't know, like, who does that? Who keeps talking about something or inserting herself into this family when they want nothing to do with her? They want her to shut the F up."
Like, I think somebody posted on Twitter, like, phases of Katie Joy.
Yeah.
We're in phase 2 where she just cyberstalked.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 is, like, getting sued.
Yeah, like she's gonna be sent some cease and desist or something. I wouldn't doubt it. And with this so-called, what was it? GoFundMe that she had, or Cash App that she had for the father's friend. I call bullshit and fraud on that one. I really do. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. And now she's got another one out. It's a GoFundMe for something else, and no one's donated. That's how how much she's fallen from grace here. Yeah, no one will help her on it at all. I was looking at it today, and there's no funds, nothing raised whatsoever, which is good, because I think that she took that money. Like, and all people are saying and stating they want their money back from Katie. They want their money back because it was supposed to go to the actual father and or Letitia, and they haven't received the money at all, so they want their money back. She's going to get reported on it. Well, she already has been reported on it. People want their money back, because then she's like, "Oh, I'm not doing this fundraiser Cash App thing anymore for the father's friend," because it shouldn't be for the father's friend at all. Like, I don't know how that makes sense in her stupid mind.
Who knows?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get off of here. I gotta get myself something to eat.
Same here. Sorry.
Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. I do have a Twitter. I'll message you there. It'll look like a troll account or a stalk, but I promise it's not. I don't use my given name on social media. Yeah, I understand that. Just say your SD, and I'll know exactly who you are. And then, I don't know, I'd love to see your photos and stuff, and then we can just talk from there and figure stuff out. Maybe even start that book. and do Helter Skelter and that one too. I don't know. I'd like to. You got me. My interest is very piqued. All right, you guys have a great night, and I don't know what. I'm not really doing anything tomorrow, the next day, or the next day. I have nothing on my schedule until Wednesday and Thursday. But if I don't know if I feel like it, or I need to catch up on KJ, so that'll probably be my videos. I'll keep doing it every day until I'm caught up because there's a lot I miss. I don't know. Maybe I'll go live and we'll just talk about anything and everything. All right, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you around.